Good morning. Can you hear me on the other side? There the thumbs come now. Goeiemorgen, good morning, kia ora. This is Viljoen. I'm all the way from Tauranga in New Zealand. And this morning I want to tell you my immigration story. I often get a lot of people asking me a lot of questions on what happened, how, and how did I do it. I came around to New Zealand with residents, me, the wife and one kid. We still have 2 kids in South Africa. And my work here is to sell insurance. I help people with life covers and that type of thing. So I'm not an immigration officer or advisor, and I'm not going to give any immigration advice as well, but just bear with me, this is my story. June, July 2016, we arrived in New Zealand on an LSD, or look, see and decide. It's not the drug, it's the other one. And we had a look around the North Island and decided where we wanted to stay and which areas we liked and which areas was less likely. I also met up with Herman Root from the company I currently work for, MFS. They offered me a job, and now keep in mind this was June, July 2016. We went back home. And from South Africa, we met up with Wyan, this is the lawyer in Auckland, via email and WhatsApps, and we started our immigration process. September 2016, we pressed a button, and our expression of interest was launched for residents, because the wife said she's not coming on a work visa, she's coming on a residence only. So, by January 2017, we've moved out of our house. The house has been sold. We lived in Cape Town in Monte Vista. House has been sold. And all our stuff was in a container. By this time we moved into with friends in a very small flat, as we were under the impression that very soon we'll be leaving for New Zealand. We only had to do the medicals. And this is where it becomes a bit interesting, or where there's a twist in the tale. We did the medicals, and the girl that did my ECG, as I declared that I had high cholesterol, I had to do an ECG, just a normal ECG, lie flat to the wires. She took the first one and threw that away, and she took the second one and she went away. 20 minutes later she returned, threw that one in a bin, and she started doing a third one. By now I've asked her what's wrong, because I was getting worried. The wife also had an ECG done because she has got high blood pressure. The wife was already done and she's left. And there was I sitting and waiting to hear why this girl has been throwing my ECGs away. And she just said to me she can't tell me anything, the doctor will call me. So eventually the next day the doctor called me, and the doctor just went on about my wife's high blood pressure, said nothing about my ECG, and I eventually asked the doctor, what's wrong? The doctor said, sometimes nurses read into ECGs just what they want. There's nothing to worry about, and I carried on with my life. 2 weeks later, New Zealand came back, because the stuff gets sent to New Zealand, and then they give an answer back on their side. They said they wanted a stress ECG from me, and this had to be done at a cardiologist. So I fell around, eventually got a cardiologist in Somerset West, which is about 100 kilometers from Cape Town. Drove all the way there, had the stress ECG done. That's the one where you would walk on the treadmill like a crazy person. They did a scan of the heart, and the doctor said, you're right. I said, but one thing worries him. I said, what? He said the one lead drops from a 3 to a 5. Now, a 3 is normal, but a 5 is not normal. And he doesn't know why, and he says, the way he knew, or he knows New Zealand, they're going to ask him why. He says, and he currently doesn't have an answer for them. The easiest way is to do an angiogram. And I said, what's an angiogram? And then he explained to me the thing that they make a little hole somewhere in your body and put a wire through to your heart and blow you full of ink and then take pictures of your heart. So I thought, can't be that bad. So I did the angiogram at that stage, and I got to give them some respect. Momentum Health was my health provider, and they paid about 50,000 rand for this little operation key that was done. It was full day into hospital, everything else. But while I was under, I don't want to say under the knife, under the microscope or the camera, the doctor that did this procedure on me came around and said, you are the ideal candidate for a 3 or 4 vein heart bypass. Now, until now, I was under the impression there's nothing wrong with my heart. Absolutely nothing. This was probably some of the worst news I've ever received in my life. And I mean, all I wanted to do, I wanted to go to New Zealand. So I said to him, what now? How do we fix this? Because I was super amped, I was ready to go to New Zealand. He said, well, it's got to open me up, take veins out of the leg, do that. A long story, and he can do it within a week's time. But now this is in Somerset West. My wife is in Panorama, just next to Monte Vista, and Panorama next to Panorama Hospital. So I said, wait a minute. Drove back home, went to Panorama Hospital, asked them, can they do this operation on me? They said, yes. I must fetch all the medicals. Went, fetched all the medicals in Somerset West, came back. And on the 1st of March, I was booked in for operation. At the end of the day, did 5 heart bypasses on me, cut me open. So I was in 2 pieces for about 3 months. Had to learn to re-walk, basically, because I was very, very weak. But walked in the little complex where we were staying. And by this time, we were talking to our friends that we were staying with. We overstayed ourselves a bit there. We talked to them and said to them, guys, this is immigration, this is what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. They eventually went as far as, and they received a job offer out of the United Kingdom. So they were ready to leave. So within 3 months after my operation, which brought us to about June, I went back to the cardiologist. He did the whole stress ECG back, sent that back to New Zealand. But by this time, my heart rate was a bit slow due to the pills that I was taking. And New Zealand declined me and postponed me for 3 months and said by September, the 19th of September, you must do another one. So now we had to move out of our friend's home because they were leaving for the United Kingdom. So off they went. Happy days. We moved into an Airbnb in Tableview. And September came and we went back to the cardiologist, did another stint there. He declared me fit. Everything was sent off to New Zealand. We also had a very nice incident with pills that we received from the local pharmacy there. They gave me antidepressants in not my cholesterol pills, so I didn't worry a lot about any of this. So eventually they had to give me another pills just to get me off these pills. And then by Feb 2018, we've now travelled the whole of South Africa because we were waiting for New Zealand. They came up and down. We had three different immigration officers presiding over our case. We were shown off to the medical officer. And then at the end of the day, I said to the wife, we can't go on like this. It looks like if Immigration New Zealand doesn't know how to say no to us, and we must draw a line in the sand. So we had the date of 20 February. If nothing happens at 20 February 2018, we are going to say we had our chance. We say that the heart was just a way of getting my heart fixed. But 18 February, that evening, late evening, our residence was approved for New Zealand. Well, the rest is history. I am here now. So glad about that. And I think on that note, let me take a few questions from everybody and see where we are. And while I'm waiting for you to get your questions ready, I want to show you this morning. This is not an avo. This is a Viljoen. It's a fruit that is I only saw ever in New Zealand. I don't know where else you will get it. It's very much like a guava on the inside. It's got a very interesting smell, not stinky or anything. And you're supposed to eat it by just turning a little spoon into there and then getting the pieces out. But little bit of bitter, but very nice. All right, let's talk about a few questions. Anybody got a few questions there for me? I see somebody cannot connect. But at these, probably another power problems there. Guys, I've been asked to do a little chat as well regarding what happens to you once you reach New Zealand, what you should plan for, and so on. I think the next chat will be on that note of what to do just before you leave South Africa, how to get yourself ready for New Zealand. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done once you are here. I'm talking driver's licenses, places to book, to leave. What do you need to take with when you leave, and so on. But we'll have that for a different chat. Any questions this morning? do you need to do financial immigration? Financial immigration, I've had a lot of requests regarding that. I am going to have, within the next, I would say 5 days, something out for you guys for that. I've got all the right answers now. I just want to put it into the right format, but not to confuse anybody. How do you apply for residency while still in South Africa? You need to go to the expression of interest, EOI, and go there. There's a certain amount of points. If you are on that amount of points, and probably you would need a job offer, which I did have. Herman Rudd from MFS gave me the job offer, and that just brought me to 160 points. I don't know what the points is now, so don't quote me on 160, but at that stage I needed 160 points. That was 2 weeks before we had to write the English test, so that's why I probably can hear that I did not write the English test. Yeah, I see somebody ask, is julle regtig gelukkig? Are you really happy? We are. For once in my life, I feel as if I've come home. I feel as if I belong to this country. Even after the Christchurch shooting, that was a single incident, I still believe this is one of the best countries in the world to be in. If you accept a job offer with a specific company, do you need to stay with the same company for 5 years until you get citizenship? Alright, I had a section 49 on my residency visa, which said I had to stay with a company for 12 months. Part of the reason was I had to be out of Auckland. That was where I got more points. I had to be out of Auckland, so I've moved out of Auckland. Auckland's very much like Johannesburg without crime. So it's cars and a rat race, and everybody is hasty to get to this one point. I don't know where the point is, but everybody just wants to get there. So we moved to Tauranga, and I'm out of Auckland. That's why I get some extra points. That's how I could make up the 160. So could you get a work visa over 56 if you have a backup and motivation of employer, a very high pay rate? I don't know about work visas. I don't know about the age of work visas. You probably will get a work visa until a reasonable high age. But the thing is, remember on the work visa, at a certain stage, it stops and you have to go home. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That's always the bad part about anybody that comes here with a work visa and works for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then they never applied for residence and they can't apply for residence. At the end of the day, you need to go home. Is there enough growth potential for a young couple with young kids? Guys, depending on what you want to do here, if you are into the rat race, I need a new car every year. That was me. I needed a new car every year, blah, blah, blah. I was in the rat race. I wanted to make as much money as possible. Probably New Zealand is not the right place for you. Okay. You can look at Australia or somewhere else. I came to New Zealand because of the safety. I came to New Zealand because quality of family life here. Family life here is very important to the New Zealanders. They want you to have time with your family. They're really family orientated. So keep that in mind when you come here. If you really want to go into the rat race, you probably would have to stay in Auckland and be there the whole of your life and sit in the traffic every day. If you are a telecoms cloud platform service provider in South Africa, business owner, can you register your own company there immediately? You can register a company here. There's got certain rules and regulations on that. Best is to call Immigration New Zealand on there. What are the chances of not getting residency and citizenship when you go there? I think you should do it the right way around. Work with immigration, work with your immigration advisor, and if everything is correct, I can't see that it won't work for you. There are certain rules and regulations like in any other country, and they enforce that really. So, will you manage to build a good pension starting age 44 in New Zealand if you don't have a current pension to bring with? That comes from Bernice Gibson. Bernice, when I left South Africa, I came with my rands. I took all the rands, I divided that by 10 just to get dollars this side. In the first year, we burned through a lot of money, so there's not a lot of money over for pension, but I think at current stage, after 10 years, I can get the government pension. It's something like $400 a week, which is more than enough to live on if I should decide to go on pension that early. Would you recommend to go through the process yourself or through agents? How did you do it? From the company side that I was, gave me the job offer, they asked me to use a lawyer. I used this lawyer purely for the fact that I wanted to get residence. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have been here, to be quite frank about that. If I tried this myself, I think Immigration New Zealand would have easily said no to me. That's quite frank. I'm not even going to go around that or anything else. I'm going to say straight out, if you don't have a financial advisor, you have a bigger chance of being sent home or being declined than anything else. Any ideas on Palmerston North? I would still think Palmerston North is better than anywhere in South Africa. That's my idea. What else is there? What do they look at, and how do you actually get a rental property if you don't have any references in New Zealand? That's a good question. I'm going to deal with this total coming to New Zealand thing on the next time, but let me quickly answer you on this one. Bring proof if you had your own house. Bring proof. People do understand that you were an owner of a house in South Africa. They, point one, do like South Africans here. We on average look after the houses better than other nations or Kiwis or whatever else you want to call it, because it's not only the South Africans and the Kiwis that are here. There's tons of different nations here, really, from India, China, Japan, all of them, Fiji, where's the other lot? Some Americans are here, and so it's all over the world has come together in New Zealand. So, but they like the South Africans on average. We actually look better at homes than normal. If single, more or less, what income per annum would you need to live comfortably? That's a big one. How much do you like to spend? Roughly about $500 to $650 per week just for rental. We as a family of three eat around $200 per week food. Then my water is about $30. My power is about $250 per month. That's all type of stuff that you got to think of. The other thing is, if you want to go and eat out every time, you're going to need a heck of a lot of more money. Eating out is expensive in New Zealand. We eat a lot of pies here. To be quite frank, it's not your South African pie, because that is real. I'm not allowed to say anything bad. That is no good pies in South Africa. The pies here, if you bite into the pie, you can see the meat on the inside. This is really delicious. They run competitions here for the best pie. And I can actually tell you who won the competitions. You can look up Patrick Pies. They are in New Zealand, in Tauranga, sorry. And they are in Rotorua. And they are really delicious pies, those. Let me see. When applying for visitors visa and want to seek work, you got to tell them. Tell them the LSD thing. LSD means look, see, and decide. Doesn't mean you're coming for work. It means you're coming for an interview or two. You're coming to see if New Zealand is even the country for you. Perhaps you find it too cold, or too wet, or too dry, or too peaceful. I've heard of some people who say it's just way too peaceful. They like to look over the shoulder the whole time. 45, he's 54, sorry, 54 too old. I won't say yes or no, I say try and apply. I know the cutting off age currently, I think it's 55 for residents, but don't quote me on that. Perhaps ask Immigration New Zealand. I'm not allowed to give any immigration advice. I'm currently self-employed in South Africa. Is there any way that I'll be able to be the main applicant and still be self-employed in New Zealand? That is the business way. On the business way, they've got a lot of rules and regulations. You have to be in this for 5 years. You have to do certain things according to them, and they take you on this. And the other thing that they look at under business is you need $100,000 to spend on something, and you need to employ Kiwis. So that's probably a deal breaker here. How will you employ Kiwis? And you've got to give them certain figures beforehand, before the 5 years. And if anything goes wrong on these figures, they can take you back and say, there's your figures, you didn't make it. They have asked a family here that has got a restaurant now. I think they're Polish or something like that. I posted the story somewhere on Facebook. They asked them to leave the country now due to the fact that some of that stuff at the end of the day didn't work out, although they were employers and so forth. So coming with on your own business, I won't really advise it. I mean, I think it's probably one of the worst ways to try and get in. How does the TV channels work here? Can we look at DSTV? You can. There's some people that stream DSTV. I don't know what Jim John is. Okay, some people stream DSTV from the whoever else they know in South Africa that's got the internet logins, because we've got very fast internet here. Internet runs on average between 100 to 200 megabytes per second, which is quite nice. You actually struggle from here to deal with South African websites as they are. You log into a slower system that's if you will go onto your banks and stuff. I'm still with FNB and Nedbank, and whenever I go into those websites, it takes my time. It's frustrating. I know what you guys are going through. TV channels this side, we run Netflix, we run Showmax for the wife, so she can watch the Afrikaans stuff. Then it's got about 17 or 18 channels, and some of these channels are stuff that you guys are paying for on DSTV, and all of that is free for you. But not a lot of Afrikaans on the television stations currently. I don't know, in the long run, perhaps that will be. So, I see Anel van Skalkwyk says channel 310. I don't know what on 310 is. Even in South Africa, I didn't want DSTV. I thought they were a rip-off. But on Netflix, you have a channel that's purely dedicated just to kids. That's movies and series and everything. 24 hours a day they can watch that if you really want to. And with Netflix, we can run more than one machine at the same time on the same account. I think you can run up to 2 or 3 or 4 different machines on that. How much is uncapped internet per week? Uncapped internet differs between about $70 to about $100. That's about 700 Rand to 1,000 Rand. When we left South Africa, I had very fast internet. I had 5 megabytes per second, and I paid just, I think, 1,500 Rand a month for that. I had this peer-to-peer thing, so yeah, quite a difference. What amount of time would you say is good for you, your look, see, and decide? Yeah, that's a difficult one. How long must you come for a look, see, and decide? Some people come for a week. Some people come for 2 weeks. There's a lady here that's already on a 3-month one, and she's going back now to be with the kids over Easter, and then coming back. The big thing is, what do you want to do with your look, see, and decide? You just want to come and have a look. If you want to come and have a look, probably 2 weeks. If you want to come for interviews, that is how long is a piece of string. As soon as you got your interview, as soon as you got your job offer, which can be within the first 2 weeks or within the first 3 months. Willie Krieger asks, is that 700 per month or per week? If you're talking about the internet is per month, it's about 700 per month. So, if we decide to bring a container, what would you say, yes, bring over, and what would you leave behind? I won't leave anything behind, to be quite frank. I won't leave anything behind. The stuff is a bit more expensive in New Zealand, and they've got a very smaller range of furniture and so on. And then, I see that came out now. The range of furniture is much smaller here than back in South Africa. So I would suggest bring everything that you can bring there, even beds. Beds is very, very expensive here. So if you want a good quality bed, bring one with. Once you're earning New Zealand dollars, it's a different thing. Then you look different than money at the end of the day. Do you know if we could bring a small black power gun over to New Zealand? I had a small black power gun. I did not bring it with. I actually left it there. So I don't know if that is the way to go. That's from Nessie Nutmeg. Perhaps you should ask your local gun dealer, Nessie. I know you in Tauranga. You could go there to hunting and fishing at near the raft. There's a gun dealer. Probably they can tell you about black powder guns and so on. We are arriving in June. How cold is it? And our KOA jackets ideal for wet winters. Guys, once back to the thing, it doesn't rain all the time in New Zealand. If it rains here, the water drains very quickly, and we just go on with our lives. We coming from Cape Town has found the winters more milder here, and it also depends on where you go into New Zealand. If you go to the South Island, it will be a bit more expensive than it will be, or more colder than it will be in the North Island. So North Island is on average not too bad. Weet jy wat 'n probleem gaan wees? Petrol lawnmower in a container, drain the petrol. You don't want the thing to start a fire, or even the petrol fumes to go into your other things, but you can bring that. I can't see why you can't bring that. Would you know if you apply for work visa when getting an offer, what is the time period? I think the time period that Immigration New Zealand gives, but don't quote me on this, I think it's about 90 days. Something like that, but they are quick. I've heard of some people who've got visas now within 3 weeks and so on. So it's up and down depending on case per case. How much is a tank of petrol for a normal small car? I don't know how big or how small your car is. I drive a 3.3 liter hybrid. I filled up the petrol tank yesterday. It cost me $112. That is 1,120 rand. But it was really, really empty. But normally it's just below 1,000 rand if you've got to convert 1 to 10. But petrol cost in the region of about 1.9 or 19 rand a litre a year. But don't get confused, it's not that expensive. We earn dollars, and our dollars go much further than what your rands will ever go. What else is there? Guys, I'm going to keep this down to about half an hour, so we've got about 5 minutes left. If anybody got any other questions that I quickly can answer for you. And I want to say thank you to everybody that's tuning in every Wednesday evening at about 8 your time and about 6 o'clock my time, or 7 o'clock my time, and from next week on it's about 6 o'clock my time. We're going a week or an hour further from you guys, so it's a bit of a time difference again. Visiting North Island in June, are locals reasonably friendly? How do you find Afrikaans speaking people? How do they find Afrikaans speaking people? We look forward to meeting locals and interacting. Locals on average is not bad. To be quite frank, it's not bad people. Some of them can see the immigration people as a bit of a threat, but they won't really be that ugly to you. The English they speak is different than the English you are speaking in South Africa. They speak their own type of English. And then the Maori, I do understand their English actually better than I do understand the Kiwis. To be quite frank on that. The Kiwis, they put everything that's an A on that, they pronounce it as an E. So it's just a bit weird, but eventually you learn how to understand them. They also speak softer. They will always try to help you if you ask for help. I've been in different countries in the world where sometimes if you ask for help in certain countries, they totally flatly ignore you. Well, here they will try and help you. And yeah, they're on average not bad people. So you get good and bad ones here. As the same, you get good and bad ones in South Africa as well. Car prices second hand, is 10,000 enough? You can buy a car from about $750. The old models, the reason why there's so much old models is they bring Japanese second-hand cars into the country and sell them off at very good prices. Just to get quickly back to that, I will ask my one friend Craig to do us a bit of a talk on Japanese cars. He imports them. Our normally cars are not too bad kilometers on. My cars range between the 2005 and the 2007. I paid $7,000 for the one, 10 for the other, and 15 for the other car. So that's the range roughly about, and I think I bought good cars, low kilometers, 60,000 kilometers or below. So that's basically roughly what a Jap import is. Jap imports are very reliable. They're not rusty. I would rather buy from a dealer than I would buy from a private person, because on a dealer you got 6 months that they need to fix up your car if there's anything wrong with that. Young as South Africans we are normally hardworking. Is this a bonus when seeking employment in New Zealand? It's a good thing and a bad thing. Sean Langer, they sometimes tell South Africans to slow down, because we want to finish all the work in one day. But you'll find out that when you come here. If you travel to New Zealand to see if you can go for interviews, is it better to go to recruiters or go door to door at companies and try to set up interviews? I'll try and set up as much interviews as possible before I come over. But going to recruiters is also a good thing. Send your CV into them as well. And then on the other side, going door to door, you could be could be successful in that, but don't come over as being too pushy, because then they will just close down and say, well, we don't want to work with you. So what's the best way to move money from South Africa to New Zealand? The best way to move money from South Africa to New Zealand is to send me an email, admin@janviljoen.com, admin@janviljoen.com, and I will ask my team in South Africa to set you up with an account, and they help you to move your money over. It's quite cheap. I trust them. They've been doing all the money exchanges for me while I was a broker in South Africa between all the big companies there, like the Sanlams, the Liberty, and Old Mutuals. Should I take a car, Antonio Barbosa? Antonio, if you've got a very old car that is one of these real old cars, and yep, I would say suggest bring that. If you've got one of these camping caravans, bring that. Caravans here is expensive as well, but in overall, cars here, I won't bring a new car to New Zealand. You'll have a lot of problem getting it in. It's a heck of a story. Somebody brought a Jeep in the other day, and I still know they're still, until to now, struggling to get that Jeep registered in New Zealand. There's a lot of different stories and things that they look at, and some of the cars in South Africa is not even allowed on the roads here. That's how unsafe the cars down there is. They look at certain Euro NCAP ratings and so on before they allow a car on the roads here. What else is there, guys? We've done our half an hour, so I think we shut it off here. Give somebody else a chance to go to work. That must be me, and give you guys a chance to go on your dates or finish your dates. So, all right, that's me. Love you and leave you. Thanks for being with us this morning, and until next Wednesday evening. I think we will have next Wednesday evening. I just want to repeat my email address. It's admin@janviljoen.com. I'll put it into the comments as well. All right, guys, have a lovely evening. Stay safe in South Africa. The guys in New Zealand, please, guys, go to work. All right, see you all. Bye bye.